This small town has been rocked by a string of child disappearances. Most of the victims were 9-year-old boys who mysteriously vanished in the wooded park. The killer still hasn't been caught. Detective Greg, the lead investigator on the case, has noticed a pattern. The abductor always leaves behind a green pocket knife at the scene. At the same time, Greg's wife, Jackie, begins noticing strange things at home. Every knife in the kitchen has suddenly disappeared. At first, she assumes their son Connor is responsible, but when she checks his room, he's not even home. Even stranger, a repairman casually tells Jackie how polite her daughter is. The comment leaves her completely confused. She only has a son. That night, Greg returns home and notices that 2 photos have vanished from a wall that used to be covered with pictures. Not thinking much of it, he heads to the bedroom. After getting cleaned up, he goes to sleep. In the middle of the night, something unsettling happens again. Jackie is awakened by a noise coming from outside the room. Following the sound, she ends up in Connor's bedroom. Seeing the room in complete disarray, she decides to tidy it up. But as soon as she bends down, she spots a frog-faced mask hidden under the bed. At the same time, while Greg is fast asleep, an unseen force suddenly yanks the blanket off him. The next morning, he wakes up and pulls back the covers, only to discover that he's wet the bed. Assuming the stress and exhaustion from the investigation are to blame, he shrugs it off and doesn't think much of it. Greg heads back to the police station to continue investigating the child abduction cases. According to his colleagues, the recent disappearances bear an eerie resemblance to a series of kidnappings from 15 years earlier. Back then, after an exhaustive investigation, Greg managed to catch the perpetrator and rescue 2 boys from captivity. The kidnapper was ultimately identified as a pedophile. But if that case was already solved, then who's behind these new abductions? Meanwhile, Jackie's lover, Todd, shows up at the house hoping to hook up with her while Greg is away. But with Connor still at home, Jackie turns him down. Just then, a cup suddenly falls out of nowhere and smacks Todd right in the head. With no other choice, Jackie hides Todd in the basement once again and gets ready to patch up his injury. Afterward, she returns to the living room and sees Connor coming downstairs. She immediately asks if he was up in the attic a moment ago, but Connor insists he's been in his room playing video games the entire time. Jackie lets it go and soon drives him to school. Meanwhile, Todd is still in the basement, changing his bandage, but right at that moment. Rushing home in a panic, Jackie walks through the front door and finds Todd lying motionless on the floor. He's clearly dead. That night, when Greg gets off work, Jackie finally confesses everything. She's convinced that the cup Connor threw was what caused Todd's death. Determined to keep their son from facing criminal charges, Greg and Jackie immediately load Todd's body into a vehicle and drive out to a remote forest, where they bury it under the cover of darkness. Meanwhile, back at the house, Connor is playing video games when he suddenly receives a text message. It reads, "Do you know what frogging is?" Curious, Connor looks it up online and learns that frogging is the act of secretly living inside someone else's home like a parasite, hiding in plain sight while the homeowners have no idea you're there. A chill instantly runs down his spine. What Connor doesn't realize is that someone is standing right behind